Now, Debbie, over to you. The subject is Yvette Cooper, MP, the illustrious Home Secretary.
It is our illustrious Home Secretary. But before we go to our Home Secretary, I think we've got a little bit of video of her boss, Sir Keir Starmer, our Prime Minister, with the immigration row, racism, riots. What did he say 10 months ago before he was elected? Have a look at this. Oh, we don't seem to have it. Don't worry, we'll skip on. We'll maybe come back to that in extra, if that's okay. So let's look at Yvette Cooper. She is our Home Secretary, but who is she? So she started as a policy advisor, actually, with John Smith way back when, and she's risen through the ranks. She's worked with the Clintons in the USA, and she's also worked under our very own Tony Blair. But David Kurten put a very interesting tweet up this week, and I thought I would just deep dive a little bit more. He says, he references the Fabian WEF Young Global Leader that is currently occupying the position of UK Home Secretary is to spend 29,400,000 of British people's money to protect mosques after the murder of 3 white children in Southport. So I was curious and I went back to the Telegraph to see the reference to the Young Global Leaders. And there we have Yvette and her husband. I'm sure you'll remember her husband. We'll come on to him in a minute, Ed Balls. They both attended to represent the UK government's 1 million Young Global Leader projects. So we've got that reference. And then I went to look at the Fabian Society, as you do. And of course, Ben has been looking in depth at the Fabian Society, and we can see that Yvette has plenty of dealings with the Fabian Society. That's one of her speeches. And the next slide actually is just another example of her speech, Pathway to Power, where she talked about new politics, kinder, democratic. Well, I'm not sure that they are terribly kind. It's also interesting to know that Yvette is member of Labour Friends of Israel, and we've just got a slide here to show you some of the articles that she's done that. I mean, there's loads on that website with regards to many of our politicians at the moment, so please do go and have a look. And in 2023, she and her husband, Ed Balls, were the 26th most powerful political couple in the United Kingdom. So that's reassuring to know, isn't it? And of course, let's look at her husband, Ed Balls. I took this little slide. Oh, sorry. Yes, we'll look at his biography first, because he's kind of everything now, isn't he? He was our Chancellor of Exchequer. He was Education Secretary. And now he's come dancing. He's a celebrity. He's also a presenter on Good Morning Television. And I'm sure we'll come to that in a minute as well. But when you look back, both of them have had their fair share of scandals. So this is flipped homes. Apparently they flipped their homes. This is back in 2009. Apparently they flipped their homes 3 times, I think it was, in 2 years. But the article does go on to say that they were exonerated. And then I've got a very interesting little slide. I think we've got one of Ed Balls with fire behind him. And I was interested because I thought, oh, fire with Ed Balls, what's this all about? Well, apparently when he was dancing in his Come Dancing stint, he was dancing so much in the kitchen that he actually broke the cooker. So I just thought it was an interesting slide with the fire. I'm sure you'll appreciate the symbology there. And I also want to point out that both of them, husband and wife, are current members of the Privy Council. We mustn't forget about that either. So we've witnessed our Home Secretary getting very cross at the public. She's almost sounding like a headmistress, I'm thinking. She was very cross. She was very angry with behaviour. She was very angry with language that had been used to police, to politicians and to other members of the public. And so I just want to show you this little article that I found in the Mail online. So this was revealed. A trans activist who heckled Nadeem Zahawi off Warwick University campus is actually the son of Ed Balls and Labour Shadow Home Secretary Yvette Cooper. This is Joel Cooper. They have 3 children, and Joel's the only son. He heckled Nadim Zahawi. He's a trans activist, and he called him a transphobe and Tory scum, which I don't think is terribly polite. But I've got a few little pictures of Joel here, because Joel has also done drag acts at Warwick University. There's his proud mum and dad there, and pictures of him there looking very pretty with eye makeup on. And as I say, he's already been involved in a drag act at Warwick University too. So he's quite an active trans activist. But that's not the only problems they've been getting themselves into recently, because they've been keeping it in the family. And Ofcom have been absolutely deluged, as many of you may have seen, when Ed Balls decided that he would interview his wife, the Home Secretary, on Good Morning Television about the riots. And, well, I'm ever so sorry, but hold on tight. Here's a short clip just to show you if you did miss it.
Can I ask, because we've talked about this a few times in the last few days, like many of our viewers will have done at home since those terrible killings in Southport, there have been identifiable individuals on social media who have been inciting not just riot, but violence. They've been using racist language. They've been using falsehoods about what happened in Southport. This is happening on the social media platforms. What can be done, what should be done now by the social media companies and the police and the government to stop this happening? Because it's been happening for a week.
Well, you're right, Ed, that we have seen these things that are appearing online that are clearly criminal. That social media has put rocket boosters under the far-right extremist organisation, and also some of the violence that we have seen.
So that has generated a lot of public opinion, as you can probably imagine, and Ofcom have absolutely been drowned out, quite rightly. But I just want to remind you, when it comes to the riots, when it comes to prisoners and prison, let's just remind ourselves of what our Prime Minister has been saying, because he's actually been saying that he's going to send fewer people to prison. In fact, he's going to let out convicted prisoners early, mainly because the infrastructure is so bad, but he's going to let people out early. But he's going to show full force of the law in the next slide to the people that have been rioting or causing disruption within the community. Not only is he going to put them into prison very quickly, but he's going to make sure 500 new prison cells are going to be open. And I'd like to ask where those 500 prison cells have actually come from. Have they come from the early releases? And as a final, I just want to remind you of, we have shown you this before, but I wanted to remind you of Crisis Cast. Now, Crisis Cast are, they do simulations of crisis incidents. They have specialist teams, and they work with a number of very important people, as you will see here. I mean, I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can see Deloitte, you can see the Army, you can see the National Counter-Terrorism Security Office, CERN. So a lot of acting and crisis simulations going on. Perhaps we can discuss that more in extra too.
Thanks very much. Well, it doesn't give us any confidence at all, not in the leadership of
acting in crisis simulation.
Prime Minister. Politicians, they need to be replaced.